Reboot, the art of taking a series that was already made and did well to remake it so it flops. Is nostalgia really that strong? Or are the new adaptations actually worth it? What will happen in this case? Today, for the big debut of the Ben 10 comic, we'll see it on this channel. Without much more to say, I'll be quiet for a month and let's get started. The story begins in Salem, Massachusetts, where the Tennyson team dresses up as pilgrims to immerse themselves in the local history. A story that over the years has gained fame for having had witches. The first of many differences we'll see in the reboot, since here the story begins at a flea market, which strangely makes Grandpa Max feel good.
It feels better than a currency exchange center. It reminds me of the Marrakesh Bazaar.
And I'm sorry, Grandpa Max, but a place full of old things that reminds you of the Eiffel Tower doesn't compare to a place where witches might have existed. Point for the original, but before we continue, we need to start comparing the characters. In the original, we have Charmcaster, a character who loves being a witch.
I love being a witch.
And she is such a villain that with her presence and destruction, she makes all the humans run away. That's something very important in being a villain. In the reboot, they change the character. The main villain is X, a villain who isn't that villainous. Because when he walks past people, they don't pay any attention to him. On the contrary, they even approach him to sell him products.
How are you, my friend? I heard you're looking for stylish gloves. This way, buddy.
Point for the original. Since instilling fear in others is a very important factor in being a villain, then we have Grandpa Max, who in the original series could do this. In the reboot, he has a good moment, since by reading X's spellbook, he manages to chain him up. Here I was really unsure about the spellbook, since I stick to the idea that in the original, no one could use the spellbook except people who had a certain magical power. In the reboot, everything seems to indicate that anyone can use the book, so since I couldn't decide, I ran a poll on YouTube, and these were the results. If you want to vote in the next polls, follow me on Instagram. All the other polls will be on Instagram. So, taking the results into account, point for the original, and another big point for Grandpa Max, because no one, ever, will be able to beat Grandpa Max from the original series. And even less with the kind of advice they give. In the reboot, when he sees the world burning, that's all he thinks about.
Maybe we should leave.
Meanwhile, Grandpa Max from the original series knows to move on when there's danger.
Ben, now you can transform.
Gracias!
Among the supporting characters, we have the pleasant surprise of meeting Pinky, who is possibly Red's sister.
Very good, Pinky. Shut up!
In the reboot, we have the mysterious old lady.
This is gonna be perfect.
Point for the reboot. In terms of plot, they are very different. In the reboot, X is searching for the Titan's gloves.
I'm looking for the Titan's gloves. With the Titan's gloves, hey, the gloves.
A crafted artifact that amplifies the wearer's abilities by 100%. An artifact so powerful that it lets you move mountains. Return them to the dust they came from. In the original, Charmcaster comes up with an entire plan of destruction to get Ben Tennyson's attention. That way, she can perform a spell that will let her switch bodies with Ben. But things wouldn't be that easy, because Gwen arrives just in time and gets in the way of the spell. As for the plot, in the reboot, X is looking for an artifact to take over the world, and I really like the idea that they don't always focus on the Tennyson team. Point for the reboot. The plot of the original series used to be stretched out since each episode lasted 20 minutes, and as a subplot, they showed us two pretty good sides of the coin. On one hand, we saw the story of Charmcaster played by Gwen, who had been sent to a juvenile detention center. On the other hand, we saw Gwen played by Charmcaster. Her goal was to recreate the spell to switch bodies with Ben.
Don't tell me that smell is from your cooking.
In the reboot, they introduced a subplot where Ben and Gwen were trying to decide which items to buy. And even though the reboot gave us a very nostalgic cameo of Wildmutt, the original has two scenes that are really worth it. The first one is Charmcaster asking for some food that has been organically grown.
I grew this.
Make sure to ask for more, little one.
And the second is the most ultra-violent food fight ever seen in prison. Point for the original. When it comes to powers, both villains had a pretty interesting moment, bringing inanimate objects back to life, where the original scores big. Because of the incredibly realistic animation they did with the kitchen elements, Diamond's appearance in the reboot was through a very worthy fight against him.
It's time to get rid of you.
In the original, we could see him creating jump ramps on the buildings while he was chasing a car that had Gwen kidnapped. All of this happened in the sky. Point for the original, both scenes move forward to a key and important point in the story. The body swap. In the original, once the spell soup is finished, Gwen simply casts the spell, but in the reboot, it's different. I have to say that X really shines when casting the spell. The red aura surrounding Ben and Gwen, and the body swap is extremely well represented in this scene. That's a big plus for the reboot. In both episodes, Grandpa Max has to figure out who is Ben and who is Gwen, and here, the reboot scores another point. Since the scene seen from Gwen's perspective is a bit more interesting than the scene where Grandpa Max is pointing at them. The most important scene in these two episodes ends in a tie. Both were really good. Once these two switched bodies, we can see Ben played by Gwen. But now the question is, who was the best Ben? In the original, we can see Ben as Cannonball. Obviously, he loses control of this alien, and admitting that it's not so easy to be a hero. In the reboot, we can see 4 arms. As soon as he transforms, he starts falling down. For me, that's a much better representation of using an alien for the first time. So with a hat trick, the reboot gets closer to the original. The next question is, who was the best Gwen? In the original, we can see Gwen doing a somersault, and then doing a Jack Sparrow style acrobatic move on the ship. In the reboot, Gwen is a bit faster, able to dodge X's attacks, and she's agile and powerful enough to jump and land a hit on X. All of this makes some sense since Gwen has the Titan's gloves. So the actions of both Gwens are well represented, but in the reboot, they're justified by the Titan gloves. Point for the reboot. The ending of each one is pretty good. In the reboot, Gwen learns to handle upgrade. She merges with the Titan gloves and destroys them, making it so X can't control so much energy and falls. In the original, Ben and Gwen manage to switch bodies. That way, Gwen can control Cannonball and tie up Charmcaster, although I'll always wonder how Cannonball was able to grab this without getting tangled up. But oh well.
Okay, that's it. I give up.
I have to give the final point to the reboot, since Gwen had the courage to learn how to control an alien and resolve the situation. Climbing quite a few positions at the end, the reboot ended up just 1 point behind the original. Previously on original versus reboot, we saw that the reboot came very close to the original. Will the same thing happen again, or will the original crush the reboot this time? Stay until the end, because today, in the cold month, we have an age change. The story begins with X visiting what seems to be a dangerous Chinatown. After facing the Tennyson team, the lucky girl didn't take away all of his powers.
The lucky girl didn't take away all my power.
The important thing here is that X is looking for the cure against the fall of the Cape. What?
Here, chew this and your hair will grow.
No more nonsense!
Very good, Pinky.
Shut your mouth.
Okay. But the story in the original also starts with the Tennyson team visiting St. Augustine, Florida. In the reboot, things start in a shopping mall, where they're looking for artifacts to redecorate the Rose Bucket. Undisputed point for the original. And an extra point due to the great animation and atmosphere in this episode. Just at the beginning, we can enjoy a storm, the white cat, the police siren that's reflected in the background, or the little bubbles you can see in the magic guy's potions. Now, before we continue, we have to start comparing the characters. In the original, we have Grandpa Max, who despite his age, does his best to keep his grandchildren happy.
I can still beat both of you. If you didn't move.
Great, Max, I hope you're safe in the future. In the reboot, Grandpa Max regrets having agreed to a trip with his grandchildren.
Travel around the country with the kids, they said. It'll be so much fun, they said.
Point for the original. When it comes to villains' stories, we have 2 very interesting characters. In the reboot, they introduce us to the Nightmare Babysitter, a biochemist who, because of bullying from her classmates, developed a powder that turned the rude ones into their younger versions. with the goal of re-educating them about proper behavior. In short, she planned to brainwash everyone. That way, she could take over the planet. In the original, they introduced us to X after discovering that the water from the Fountain of Youth exists. He will do everything possible to find the lake, regain his youth, and thus achieve eternal life. When it comes to villains, the point goes to the Nightmare Nanny, but in terms of story, the point goes to X. Now, when it comes to secondary characters, we have Hector, the guardian of the Fountain of Youth.
I was chosen by Ponce de Leon, and destined to guard it for all eternity.
In the reboot, there weren't any supporting characters that really stood out. Here, we could only choose between the Smile Seller.
Oh, his little old servants. Now I'm getting sleepy.
And since I couldn't decide, I did a poll on Instagram where the winner was the Smile Seller, who will now have to compete against Hector as a supporting character. Tough decision. Nah, point goes to the original. The plot development in the reboot gets pretty strange since Ben and Gwen start running into a lot of babies.
Baby, 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 baby. Yes, I said baby too.
And here I totally understand why Ben and Gwen ignore the babies, because they're kids. But for God's sake, Grandpa Max, you're seeing a bunch of babies doing parkour and you still care about which color looks better on the rose bucket. Point against the reboot. In the original, we can see X making these pedestrians run. Hey, that's a point for X. X is looking for the protector of the Fountain of Youth, who just happens to be working at an amusement park where the Tennyson team was already. Plot-wise, that's a point for the original.
Are you okay, Grandpa?
You know, I feel great, almost like a child.
Oh my, Grandpa Max. No. What I didn't tell you is that Grandpa Max had a little accident in the middle of the battle with X. He got soaked in water from the Fountain of Youth, causing this terrible problem.
What do you think X did to you?
Besides getting rid of my gray hair, my overweight, and my back pain?
Okay, on second thought, I think they did him a favor. Now, getting to the most important point, the age change. In the original, they simply introduced us to Grandpa Max and Ben, both made younger. Now, in the reboot, they show us how the Nightmare Babysitter transforms Ben and Gwen with her umbrella, spreading the powder. So for the scene, point for the reboot. Something that must be acknowledged is that the Nightmare Babysitter is like a dental cavity.
Ah, don't slouch, dears. Those little noises are very unpleasant. Your minds are so dirty, dears. How about I erase them for you?
But now, if we start to compare, Gwen also has her annoying side.
Hello? X has escaped. You're doing something that seems super important.
I hadn't noticed that Gwen ruins the fun.
Don't even tell me.
And since I already finished conducting a survey, you all get to decide this point in the comments. Who is the most annoying person, the Nightmare Babysitter or Gwen? As the story progresses, some aliens appear. In the original, we see a young Tetraman running. That's it. In the reboot, they gave us a scene of a baby 4 arms fighting against the Nightmare Babysitter's henchmen. Point for the reboot, but there's something the reboot will never have.
Sixtito!
Besides this, the original series gave us one of the best scenes. Like Ben as a kid, I'll do it, I do it.
Don't do it.
The original, meanwhile, had a scene where 4 Arms was tossing babies.
Look, a skylight!
But no matter how fun it is, nothing can beat Little Insect. At the end of the plot, we can see 2 pretty complex situations. In the original, X has returned to his original form and has become much more powerful.
It's already too late. With control over water, I am immortal. My powers are greater than you could have ever imagined.
In the reboot, the Nightmare Nanny shows us her machine, which will be able to emit all her special dust, so she can turn people into younger versions of themselves. The way Como X appears from the lake and the power he displays give a point to the original. At the end, in the reboot, we can see Baby Ultra T modifying the Nightmare Nanny's ray in order to reverse its effect.
You reversed my rejuvenating powder.
That's right. And now even your wrinkles have wrinkles.
Warning, 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 warning. What you are about to see has been rated O for...
In the original, Baby Fuego appears, where after getting angry and thanks to a supernova, he manages to vaporize all the water from the Fountain of Youth. Point for the original just for the scene showing little Fuego exploding. Whoo! With a beating, the original wins over the reboot. Previously on Original vs. Reboot, this one taught how things should be done, giving it a beating. This time, the original faces a really good episode from the reboot. Will it be another beating, or will the reboot take its first victory? Stay until the end to find out, because today in the cold month we have mutant fusions in the storm. Here the story begins with the Tennyson team at the Crocodile Festival, where we can find toy sales, hamburgers, bait, and even crocodile juice. Cheers. In the reboot, we're introduced to Ben and Gwen trying to set up a camping tent. And personally, I've never been camping, but it seems like these two are doing a good job.
Yeah, I could get used to this camping thing.
We're good.
I take back what I said. Here, no one gets the point since both opening scenes are well represented. Although actually the reboot starts with the introduction of the Climatons.
The Climatons, huh?
These gentlemen are actually not gentlemen, they're robots.
Wow, I didn't expect that plot twist.
But these aren't just any robots, since they have the ability to control wind, water, and lightning.
Afterwards, the rest of the universe will tremble when they hear about the Climatons.
In the original, it introduces Dr. Animo as the villain. Dr. Animo has been tracking Ben Tennyson.
You thought you were done with me when you destroyed my creatures. That was just the beginning. I will never lose my important place in history.
And even though Dr. Animo is a standout enemy in this chapter, the Climatons are among the few enemies in the reboot that really deserve attention, since their mere presence on screen makes the plot turn dark and apocalyptic. So, point for the reboot. Since we're comparing characters, let's talk about Grandpa Max. In the reboot, he plays an extremely important role, saving Ben and Gwen from an attack in the middle of a tornado.
Everyone is safe. Let's fly out of here and regroup.
In the original, we can see him driving a boat, where his great skill at maneuvering it is surprising, since here he was able to face off against this fire Batman. Here we have another tie, since both had a pretty decent performance. And it's quite surprising, since Grandpa Max in the reboot is usually put in pretty useless situations.
How much longer will it take to light the campfire?
My record is 4 hours.
In the original series, he isn't saved either. Grandpa Max was put in a pretty unpleasant and disgusting situation, which I personally didn't remember being like this. Grandpa Max's groans, being this larva, and those eyes that move in opposite directions, and that green color, ugh. But no matter how disgusting and disturbing this scene is, the point goes to Grandpa Max from the original for sacrificing himself for Ben. We continue with Ben in one of the most important scenes. When he damages or breaks the Omnitrix after having unlocked an alien, Cannonball, Ben wonders if there are other aliens inside the Omnitrix.
Who knows how many heroes are in this thing? I need to figure out how it works.
And, well, the wisest way a 10-year-old tries to figure out how the most powerful object in the universe works is with a screwdriver. In the reboot, Ben is tired of the transformations not lasting long, so he decides to use the camper's friend. In both situations, this device causes an error inside the Omnitrix.
What was that?
But in the original, it's better represented since the Omnitrix's cover comes off, so the original gets this point. Now, when the Omnitrix suffers this damage, in the reboot, it just makes a small beep that slightly alerts Gwen. Grandpa Max doesn't care because he's doing his own thing. But anyway, all this leads to Ben having to make an excuse, and in the reboot, this is the excuse.
What was that?
What was what? In the original, the explosion caught Grandpa Max and Gwen's attention, and oh boy, you're in for it, Ben.
What was that?
What was what?
What was that noise?
Oh, lightning?
There aren't any clouds in the sky.
I'm sure Ryo chased them away.
Now that's an excuse, period. For the original, the plot of the reboot gets pretty interesting since the mission of the Climatons isn't very clear in the story.
First, the mammals in this park are going to fear him, then the rest of the universe will tremble when they hear about the Climatons.
The Climatons, huh?
What they make clear to us is that they don't just want to conquer Earth, they want to conquer the universe. With the creation of an apocalyptic machine on Earth, they hope to send a message to someone or something in the universe.
Pronto. Soon they will answer our call and our true mission will begin.
In the original, Dr. Animo discovers the small cap of the Omnitrix and its great advantages when he sees the mutation of a small crab. He sees great possibilities in this device.
With this telescope, I will send a signal to the satellites, and with that, I will control the world, creating a more interesting world.
Well, many possibilities, like the creation of this Fire Batman. Here the point goes to the reboot with the Climatons' universal plan. Both plots move forward, and in the reboot, Ben has to stop the Climatons and their strange but apocalyptic weather machine. But with the Omnitrix broken, it gives Ben a new transformation, a very strange mutation called
Gray arms, that's for sure.
In the original, Ben has to face Dr. Animo's mutant frog. Being in the same situation, it transforms him, giving him a mutation called
Insect arms.
The curious thing about all this is that Gwen was the one who named these two fusions, and both names for the aliens were very creative, although I would have called this one Armstoid. But since I couldn't decide, I did a poll on Instagram, and these were the results. If you want to participate in the next votes, follow me on Instagram because I have Instagram.
I can fly and punch at the same time. This is awesome.
The fusions were meant to improve an alien, but this time it wasn't like that. Since the Omnitrix was broken, what happened was the opposite effect. In the original series, the fusion of 4 arms and Stinkfly caused him to lose his strength.
This is so heavy. I'm not as strong as I used to be anymore.
Besides, the ability to fly wasn't fully used, since he was just too heavy. In the reboot, the fusion of gray matter and 4 arms seems to have the same effect, since the fusion doesn't seem smart enough to approach 3 enemies at the same time. Besides not being that tough, here we have a big point for the original, since it does a great job showing us the flaws that this failed fusion can have.
It's better not to use it until the repair is done because it looked ridiculous.
With the help of the antenna, they managed to summon a tornado that sucks in Ra's bucket. Inside it, he looks at X. As we approach the final battle, the Climatons don't let the Tennyson team escape. Here, the only salvation is Ben, with a damaged watch. And with the possible appearance of a new fused alien, Ben transforms and this appears. A fusion with all of Ben's aliens. Which apparently works correctly, but in the original it doesn't work so well, since Ben finds himself cornered and has to transform. Which leads us to the son of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. This fried fish doesn't stand a chance. Since it's not a very recommended fusion, well, actually, it's the worst fusion scene in the whole series. Here, the reboot gets the point.
The storm is heading into space. This is what they meant when they said cosmic cyclone.
Although this has been a lot of fun, Big Head, you've already seen too much.
In the final battle, Ben must finish off the Climatons quickly before the message is sent. In the midst of the great battle with his full fusion, Ben realizes something: the machine. If he destroys the machine, he destroys the Climatons' plan. Ben subtly tricks the Climatons into launching a super attack so he can destroy the machine. Once it's destroyed, the Cyclone heads into space, taking the Climatons, their machine, and almost Ben Tennyson with it. In the original, Ben has trouble defeating Dr. Animo's mutated creatures, and Aquafire isn't a good choice on land, so Ben decides to take the battle to the water. Here things change, as he easily defeats the frog and puts out the fire bat. While all this was happening, Gwen was sneaking around to steal the Omnitrix cap. This way, Animo's plan ended, and so did Grandpa Max's curse and suffering. Here, both endings were disappointing, but the reboot has an ending that I really loved. After all this situation passes, the Tennyson team heads to a new destination, and Ben is deep in thought.
That's funny.
What's wrong, Ben?
Those climate guys were planning something big, I mean really bad. And honestly, I wonder, what if the real storm is yet to come?
Big point for the reboot, and you know what? Double points and triple points for this epic ending. Wait. The cold from the future comes to fix this issue, because a triple point really is something impartial. Honestly, I think this was the first serious episode of the reboot, so at least it does deserve a double point. Even so, the score is tied, so you get to choose the winner, and you also decide if this series comes back to life this year. Sharing the video shows your support for this noble cause.